And good afternoon, what's happening, and good evening to my UK friends. What's going on? Welcome to Thursday Live. It's been crazy to hear. Oh, that shouldn't be on. I got to learn how to not do that. Anyway, too many devices and not enough brain. So yeah, it's been crazy. We're getting ready for a vacation coming up in a couple of weeks. And I'm trying to get everything, I'm trying to get ahead of everything so that I can actually go and relax and hang out with my family and Marge's family and try to have a good time. So in order to do that, I got to double down this week and next week to try to get enough stuff done so that I can kind of roll through. So I got some show and tell to show you. I have a new painting that I just finished yesterday-ish. And today we'll be working on a couple different things. I'll be actually starting the new painting with you guys, the new painting in this not 543. Sorry, I'm so used to doing 543s. Been working on those too. But the newest painting in this HD stencil series. So I've got 5 of them planned. I've already done 3 of them, so I want to get on the last 2. So we'll start that one with you guys today because there's some questions about those HD stencils and how they work and everything. So I thought it'd be fun if we lay that out today so you guys can actually see it. And then we're going to be working on the London pen. I'd love to get that done before I leave in a couple weeks. So that's the goal there. So we'll be doing a little bit more on that as well. We did the galaxy last week, so I'm going to add to the stars and things like that. So I hope it all makes sense because it barely makes sense to me. So that's what I got. All right, let me switch you guys around. I'm going to switch you to the overhead camera first while I adjust the close-up camera. So hang on. All right, so here I am. Hello. And now I can see you guys and comments and things. Paul, what's going on? Cody, William Klein, JP, what's happening? All right. Good. Right. Let me get this one back to where it should be. Got extra funness with this one. We'll get this one farther back because I'm going to show you the new painting and I want to be kind of far back for that. There we go. That'll work. Okay. Excellente. All right. Let's go to this one. So here we are. Kind of sort of close up. So let me show you that painting that I was telling you about. This is the Mustang painting that I just finished. And this was, this started life as one of these HD stencils. So the stencil actually laid out the painting, which was really, really nice. I'll explain more about the HD stencils in a second when I start the next one for you. But it's nice. It just gives you a really good overall kind of layout for the whole painting. So I was fortunate to hook up with these guys last year, I think it was, or the year before that. But really throughout last year and this year, I've been using their stencils for a lot of layouts, and it's really, really worked out well. So this painting is 4.5 inches by 7 inches, or actually it's 6 7/8, but it's close. And it is on ampersand board, and I did this one all with Createx Wicked Colors, and this is also finished with UVLS satin. And then this one is framed in a wood frame with a 23 karat gold leaf border around the edge. So that's how that one came out. Thanks, Cody. I appreciate that. So this one is on the site if you're interested in it. The first of this series has already been collected. The second one, the marble painting, that is actually at the Source Gallery in Lisbon, Ohio. So it's on display there. If you're interested in that one, you can pick that one up there. And then the Mustang painting is on my site already, so that's going to be here. The other two, I'm hoping the one I'm about to start today is going to, well, it'd be nice if it made it till September, but it'd also be nice if it was collected as well. But when I head over to Salt Lake City, I was hoping to have this next one there at the show. So we'll see what happens. Thanks, Paul. So that's it. So yeah, that's really for show and tell. The big thing too, if you decide you need to have that or any of the paintings, don't forget to use that code. It's SUM22. That'll get you 20% off anything in the store, including originals. So that includes that Mustang painting as well. So here we go. All right, so let's get to it. So the HD stencils. So what you do the company is great, and I'll tilt this at an angle so you can see it. So what you do is you send them your photograph, you upload your JPEG to them, and in whatever size, they have multiple sizes. Basically they do it by the sheet and then whatever fits on that sheet. So if you have an image, they'll do anything. They'll do custom, but for the most part, it's pretty standardized. So I don't know if you can see this. Actually, let me do this real quick too, because that is annoying. Should have done that too. There we go, and that and that. Okay, good. So this if I tilt it, you can just start to make out the image in there. This is an old Harley that I took a photo of at one of the bike shows, and it's all beat up and rusty and everything. I thought it'd make a great painting. This one really needed to be larger and in color. I did this one as a 543, a little black and white, but this one really needed to be in color. So what I did was I sent this, there were 5 of them all together, photos, and I sent them all to HD, and they sent back these great super high definition stencils, and that's what HD stands for. So this isn't the one we're going to be starting today. We're going to be starting one of the car ones, but I wanted to show you that because that's what you get back. So you'll get back this screen printy type, stencil. It's loose, and that's how you get it. Okay. So what I do when I get them is I grab a piece of old mat board. This is just a scrap piece of mat board, and I cut a window in it, make a little frame, and then I attach the stencil on there. And if you look at this, you can kind of make out the old Ford there. So again, this one I took at a car show as well, this photo, and it's a bright red Ford. It's just it's perfect. It's such a nice car, and the hood is open, and you can see the motor inside, and it's original, which is really neat, except for the color. It's bright red. But anyway, so I take that mat and I just gently stretch it out over the mat and then tape it down, and that gives me a real firm, like tight stencil to use. And you can certainly just tape them down, but I find it's really easy to do it this way because then I can just use the magnets to hold everything in place when I'm kind of locking things down. All right, so to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the board that I'm going to put this on. And all 5 of these paintings in this series were all the same size. And that's, they were supposed to, I talk about this all the time. They were supposed to be 5 by 7. I had cut all the 5 by 7 panels. It was all ready to go. I pre-ordered all the frames, so all the frames were custom made and they were all the same size. When they came in, they were all the wrong size. I don't know what happened. But I had waited for them, and at that point I'm like, well, I'll just cut down the panels. And I readjusted everything, and then, I got the new stencils from HD, and everything worked out well. So these panels, like I said, they're an odd size. They're 4.5 by 6 7/8. Yeah, Marshall, I tried just holding them down or using magnets to hold them down, but this frame system, and again, they look like screen prints, so that was rolling through my head when I was kind of messing with them. I'm like, oh man, it looks like a screen print, so why don't I treat it like a screen print? So the screen printers mount their screens on wooden frames or aluminum frames, depending on the style of screen printer, and that keeps them straight and tight, and you're ready to go. Today's cheers is coffee, so all I have in house is double IPAs, so if I start with that at 1 in the afternoon here, again, there won't be much of me left, so we're going to not do that. All right, what I need is a bit of tape, and I've already moved off all my tape, which is weird, but that's okay. So I'm just going to take some, this is gold FBS tape, literally, it doesn't matter what kind of tape you use, I'm just taping it to the board. Now normally, this is very easy if you do this on a flat surface, like a horizontal surface, because then everything sits down, but I got this at an angle, so I have to tape the board to the work surface. And the reason why is because it needs to be flat, so there can't be anything else on it. So like I can't hold it up with the magnets, because when I go to put the stencil on, the magnets will get in the way. I could use the smaller magnets, the thinner ones, like maybe this one. This one might work. Yeah, this one would work. Has to be less of thickness than the board, but tape just works really, really well. All right, so then what I'm going to do, it's really difficult to see. I'm going to see if I can get this to flash in the angle. So if you look, see the edge right there? It cuts off the tire and then it keeps going. Let's see if I can focus that a little bit. Well, let me get it close and then I'll focus it. So there we go. So you see that edge right there? So the stencil is bigger than the image, which is really good, and that edge runs all the way around the outside of this. So I've cut out the mat, this mat, so it's bigger all around. Get this focus for you now. Put my finger there. Good. There we go. Okay. So then what I'm going to do now, I know it's hard for you guys to see it, but I can see the edge, and that edge lines right up with the edge of the canvas. So I'm going to check all four corners, and when I know I got it right, I'm going to take the jumbo magnets and I'm going to hold this down. And what's nice about the frame is the frame for the mat board is a 1/16 of an inch thick, but the board itself is an 1/8 of an inch thick. So as I put this down, it stretches over the whole surface. If you'd use something thicker than the board, obviously it wouldn't make contact with the board, so that's not good. If you use something the same thickness, there's a chance that it will kind of like float up when you're spraying it. But by using this board that's a little bit thinner than the actual board mat board that I'm using with the regular board, I can get that little bit of extra tightness on this, and it really holds it flush. So I just get these bigger magnets to hold it in place, and now that's right on the surface all across, and it's all lined up and it's ready to go. So yeah, if you have any questions, please yell them out. You know, it's even though the Thursday feed is more of like a working feed and hanging out feed, you know, like the Monday night feeds, please ask questions as we go. That's totally cool. You guys got me for about an hour-ish while I, you know, get some other stuff going. So that's kind of what it's all about. A couple other quick notes. The new Open Studio on my YouTube channel just dropped today, so that's episode 14. So we're coming down to the end. I'm guessing we have about 3 or 4 more episodes, and that Chevelle painting is done. Oh, I have it right here, so I'll show you that real quick. No, I don't have it right here. Yes, I do have it right here. I didn't think I had it because I was working on it earlier. Here we go. So that is where the Chevelle painting is at right now. So really, I mean, I'm going to finish the front bumper in the next episode, move on to the headlights and the chrome and the grille, and this guy's done. So that'll be great. So that'll be the whole series. Like I said, there's only one episode, episode 8, that's missing. And it looks like it's permanently missing. It's stuck somewhere in limbo, but other than that. All right, do you end up with those funky edges where the magnets curve? Wait, hang on 1 second, Marshall. Do you end up with those funky edges where the magnets curve the stencil at the edges? Like along the, like where the magnets are pushing down? Because this isn't, I mean, there's tension on this, but it's not crazy tension. You know what I mean? It's not like, you don't want to overstretch it. So hopefully I'm aimed at the right answer there. But no, there's no, where they overlap. Funky edges of magnets curve the stencil where they overlap. I'm still not sure I know what you mean, Marshall. Where the, yeah, I'm not sure I know what you mean. Well, let me keep going with that, and maybe I'll be able to understand where you're going. But so far, yeah, there's no there's. I mean, you'll see how it comes out. It pretty much is flat on the surface, and it'll work out pretty well. So what I wanted to use is I want a fairly not super thick paint, but I want something reasonably opaque. So I'm going to use this 1-to-1 mix. So this is Createx Opaque Black. All right, maybe I've overstretched it. The edges give this funky haze effect. Oh, yeah, possibly. Yeah, that was one of the things I found. Like when I first tried it, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to get this like super tight. And then once I got over that, I tried to just hold them down. And yeah, if it's not perfectly flat on the surface, so if you overstretch it, it can get weird. If there's any kind of um, if there's any kind of looseness where the thing will rise up, you'll get a real fuzzy edge to it. So that's, that can be a problem too. All right, so I have just the Micron with opaque black in it. This is reduced 1:1. I like this because it gets through the surface, but it's not it's not too thick, and it's not also too thin that it doesn't really produce a clean color. So what I want to do is I just want to start really evenly, almost like I'm clear coating or painting a car. I have roughly about a 50% overlap. I'm about 4 inches from the surface, and I'm just really lightly going across this thing. You don't want to flood this out. It's super easy to do. Like if I hammer this thing, and really dump a bunch of wet paint on here, it'll totally defeat the purpose. All the paint will connect underneath and it'll just make a mess. So I want to keep going, and same thing the way I always paint. It's just dry layers, dry thin layers. Maddie, what's up? Yeah, Marshall, if I didn't answer your question, just shoot me another message, and that way I can try to figure it out. Okay, and then it's just the same thing. So I hit it again, really light pass. What's neat is as I get going, you can really start to see that image develop. It's kind of neat. I originally, when I was going to do this painting, I was just going to have this car in the front, the Ford in the front. It's bright red, it's beautiful. I was like, wow, it's perfect. I'll do it like every other painting that I do. I'll just eliminate all the background. And then I was looking at it and I'm like, man, that other car in the back is just as nice, and it's lined up and it's sitting there, and it looks, I love car shows. I love, especially like cruise nights or cruise days, essentially, where it's not like this huge organized car show with all these, concourse cars. I just like hanging out and seeing what people are building and what they're working on and what their passion is and that kind of stuff. Enzo, what's up? So this was one of those events. There was an ice cream. There's a dairy ice cream shop like right around the corner from my parents' house, and every year they have this kind of cruise night thing. And so I walked down, was visiting mom and dad, walked down and took a bunch of pictures, and this is one of them. So I just love the vibe. I love that, these guys just had their cars and they just popped the hoods, and that was it. So again, just really light layers. Let that dry a little bit. Hope you guys are having a good Thursday. I just watched Svi Wheeler. He's home. He's not working right now because he decided to jump on the Rona bus as well. So that was, well, it sucks for him that he's home. It was great for me because he decided to paint and go live. So he's usually on Saturdays. He's on, I think around the same time, 6 or 7 GMT. But it was great. I was working and I was able to just turn it on and catch him. So, all right, that should be just about dry. So I'm going to keep hitting this because again, this is an underpainting. None of this is going to show when I'm done. So it doesn't matter how dark it is. In fact, I'd rather it be a little bit darker so I have to fight to cover it because I really, really want it all covered. I don't want any of it to show. Yeah, Enzo. So I was just saying before you got here, I have 5 of them lined up all together, all the same size, different subjects, but all the same type of thing. So, so this is number 4 in the series, and I'll have one more to do after this in this series, and then I'm definitely going to keep using them. I love it. If you guys want to, they were awesome and extended a discount code. So if you just type in my name, Stephen Leahy, all one word. Last time I checked, it was still active, so it will give you a discount on your HD stencil. But literally, you can send them anything you want, whatever you got. Hired. There's all the all the requirements are on the site, so just go to the site and check it out. It's hdstencils.com. I'm, like I said, it just for an image this complex, it just it just saves so much time. A question had come up whether these are reusable. They are. As far as how reusable they are, I don't know. I've used them 3 or 4 times, cleaning them out in between, and they've held up. Beyond that, I don't know. That should be really good. So now the thing of it is you kind of got to be sure, because I mean when you move it, you can get it lined up again, but there's so much detail there. If you're off a little bit and then start spraying again, you'll get this kind of blurry double line that's very obvious. So at first I started going really light, but then as time went on, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna make sure I get enough on there in one shot. I'd rather, like I said, I'd rather fight back with it than have to worry about, putting some more on. So now we'll remove the magnets and see what we got. This is the other good reason to keep this taut. You see how it's now wrinkly as I pull this off? So the paint will contract and also pull at it, so you really want to kind of make sure that's reasonably taut. But that's what you get. Is that not insane? I mean, you could just put it out as a painting just like that. The only thing about it is it's got, I'll zoom in, you can see that grain in it, so it acts as a great underpainting, but it would be like a loose screen print. See kind of the grain in it, but it is really, really cool. Enzo, this one probably will not. So they have the marble painting, so I let them grab that one. But this one will first, when it's done, will go up on the site. But more than likely, what'll happen is I'll get this on to. If I still have it in September, I'll bring it with me to Salt Lake, and I'm sure it'll go there. That's at the show in Salt Lake. That's their kind of people. So that's what I got. So now it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It's like, there it is. So in order to draw this out, I'd either have to use, well, I could, if I was just doing this, I would do the photocopy thing. So I wouldn't draw anything out. I would just start laying it out with the stencils, paper stencils, and then kind of work at it from there. But now this is all laid out. So now I can attack a lot of this with just freehand work right off the bat. I can get major values done, like the shadows and the tires, and the details not so much, even though they're in there, like the wire wheels and stuff. So what I found on the Mustang painting and on the marble painting, but more on the Mustang painting, I use a combination of both. So I set it all up with the HD stencil, start blocking it in, and then I'll use photocopies because I have the image. It's my image. So I have the photocopies that I'll use to create these specific cutout templates. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. So hopefully that answers some of the questions about that HD stencil. They are outstanding. We talked about this, I think, on the feed last Monday. The idea, and this is a big one, what's a cheat and what's not a cheat. So obviously if I pass this off right now, this right here as my painting, then yes, it's a cheat because I didn't do anything. I needed very little skill to pull that off. But for me to turn this into this takes a lot. There's a lot going on there. There's a long way to go. So really what I'm using this for, the HD stencil, is to make my life a little bit easier in the beginning of this. And it just lays it out. So that's my kind of rule of thumb. If something saves you a little bit or saves you time, but doesn't relieve you of the skill of getting it done, then it's not a cheat. And I use that for everything. We were talking about digital painting too. Digital painting on the outside, to people who don't understand, seems like a cheat. You have everything there, you just plug it in, but it's not like that at all. If you do any digital art, you guys know. So So it's the same thing with these guys. If you, like I said, if you leave it like this, it takes very little skill to pull that off. You just have to know how basic airbrushing to get that. So but again, you wouldn't pass that off as your painting anyway. But that's it. That's it. It saves time. You're good. If it relieves your skill, it's not so good. So there you go. So that's as far as I'm going to go with this one. We're going to start working on the pen. But I kind of wanted to, I had this lined up for today, so I wanted to show you kind of how it worked since it was in the queue and worked out pretty well. So that gets put aside. I will post pictures of that as I work on that. I'm sure I'll be working on that in feeds. That's a painting like that generally takes about 18 to 20 hours. That's roughly what the Mustang took. So the more involved paintings usually go about that. The Chevelle painting is in at about, usually they take about 10 to 11 hours, and that's pretty much right on track for that. So it gives you a good idea. It's a tool, not a cheat. Yeah, that's it, Cody, and that's how I look at it. You know, it's like anything, like we were talking about. Like if you get into that argument, then anything that's made our life easy as an artist is a cheat. Like as an airbrush artist, the first airbrushes used a foot-powered bellow, so you'd actually pump your feet to get the air to compress. So you can argue that if you're an airbrush artist and you're not using a foot-powered bellow, you're using a machined compressor, that you're cheating. Acrylic paints weren't around until the 50s. So, and trust me, this is an argument. There are oil painters that feel that if you're using acrylic paint, you're not a real artist. It's endless. It is absolutely endless. Mechanical pencils, if you're not sharpening your pencil, then it's a cheat. It's like, where do you draw the line? So that's how I determine what's what with that. All right, let me grab a piece of shop cloth here because I don't want this pen to get scratched up. So we're going to use this shop cloth to run a little bit of interference on the craft paper on the board here. Because the craft paper does have some grit to it actually. So we don't want that to be a problem. Now, where would you start blocking in from? Oh, Enzo, as far as the other painting, yeah. So what I would do, actually, it's funny, I'd have to look at it for a second, so I'm going to look at it with you guys, just so I can kind of get my bearings. So what I would do in this painting, first thing I do is I'm going to block in this background. Shoot, I don't have the reference photo handy for this. Yes, I do. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm just going to pull it up on the tablet. There it is. So this is the reference photo for this. So hopefully you can see why I like it. It's got so much color in it. The sun was like just brilliant that day. It just worked out well. So what I would do in this painting is I'm going to start with the background. So I'm going to paint in, and it's neat. You can just barely make it out. There's a neat asphalt texture that's everywhere. So I'll do all that. So I'll cut in and do the same thing with this, with the shadows and all that. And then after that's done, then what I'll do is I'll block in the big base colors of the car. So I'll hit the red, and the car in the back is blue. Yeah, I think that's blue. I had to double check. It's certainly blue, but it might be black, but it looks blue. Anyway, so I'll block in the big parts of that. And then once I get that done, then I'll start picking at all the details. I can't wait to do these wheels, though. I have a painting that I did of a LaSalle that I just absolutely had a great time working on the wheels. And there is so much going on there. There is so much going on there, and the reflections and all that fun stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. So that's kind of the order of business for that painting. Jump back to my Galaxy, because I'll need that. Certainly a labor of love. You know, this painting will take a while, but again, in the end, it'll be fun. And I've already, like I said, I've already got the frames all laid out. They're all framed. All 5 of them are framed the same way, with that gold leaf background. So you know, that gold and the red will play off really nice with one another. It'll just be a solid piece. All right, let's get back to the pen. Put this somewhere you can see it, like about there. All right, So again, I haven't done anything on this since we were working on it. Travis last week had a great idea for this, and that was to use like a pearl or a sparkle for some of the stars. So that's certainly what I'm going to do. I'll do that. I'll probably get that done today too. Again, this pen started off life as a, make sure we're focused here. That feels pretty good. Started off life from London Pen. They turn these the most amazing pens. This is made of ebonite, which is a artificial replacement for ebony. Very similar to ebony in the way that it looks and turns, I would imagine. But that's how it started out. So I got it and I started vandalizing it right away. So that's where we got. All right. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to lay in the stars. What I'm going to do, and I did a little test panel and I unfortunately left it on the other side of the studio, so I'm not going to go grab it, but I did a quick test panel to kind of see how the different effects colors would work. And what I ended up liking was not the blue, but the silver. So this is Cosmic Sparkle Silver. And you'll see at the end what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dab it on in different places to add this kind of sparkle. And that seemed to work out really well. I was going to spray that, thin it out really far and spray, but the sparkle in it doesn't. It's pretty fine. So I don't want to run into a mess with it. So I'm just going to dab it on. All right. Make sure my mask is still staying where it should, which it is. So, but for the regular star field, I am going to spray it. So what I found was in the reference photo that I had, and I really should have, I'm going to get better at this. So I can load the images onto the computer and then I can switch to them. And I just didn't think of it in time, but I will for next time. So this is just a random image that I pulled up online. But I liked the galaxy the way it looked, and the stars are concentrated right around the actual galaxy. And then they really fade out as they get to the edge. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here. And then I'm going to tint a lot of the stars closest to the galaxy in blue, and that'll kind of pull it all together. So that's the goal. We'll see how that works out. Steve, where are your classes? You mentioned 3 spots left. Oh, William, yeah. So back to that, the Salt Lake City. So in September, I'll be the guest artist at the show in Salt Lake City. So that's what Sherry decided to do was have a one-day class before the show. It's going to be on September 1st in Salt Lake City. And yeah, it's really inexpensive. We just figured we'd be there, so let's do it. So it's going to be a kind of a crash course on a lot of these detailed techniques that I use. So that's it. Yeah, Nick, like I said, I just went online and grabbed it. It's like, I don't know who took the photo. Actually, I think it's a composition. It looks like someone, put the silhouette in front of it, because I don't know if that's a real photo, but it looks like a Hubble photo, that kind of thing. Yeah, so last I checked, there were 3 spots left for that class. It'll be fun. It'll be casual, but, we'll get a bunch done. So looking forward to it. All right. What do I have in here? Do I have white? No, I have black. Okay. Let me clean this brush out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this spatter technique to put these stars in. I like this technique because it really gives you a whole ton of control over something that you shouldn't have control over. So I'll be lowering the pressure on the airbrush, and then the paint won't have enough, or the air won't have enough pressure to atomize the paint, so it'll just spit it out. But when you lower it just to the right spot, you have a ton of control on where that spatters. It's really kind of neat. There are a number of ways to get a spattering effect out of an airbrush. Usually they involve removing parts or spraying off of something else. But like I said, I'll show you this. This way gives you a whole ton of control. So clean that out. Did I bring it over? Yes, I did. Excellent. So I did mix up some new white too, which is good. All right, so what I need to do is I need to get a piece of something so that you guys can see what I'm about to do. Move this off to the side for a second. And then I need something dark, like this. This stuff, by the way, illustration flat black, not to pull a squirrel on you guys, but this is their new illustration flat black. It is flat like nobody's business. Like when you spray stuff with this, it looks like charcoal. So what I did with this, real quick, move it out here. So what I did with the frame, and I did this on the last one too, see how the frame has a satin finish to it, but notice how there's absolutely no glare on the back plane behind it? That's illustration flat black. It's insane. It's crazy stuff. So it has no reflection whatsoever. There's a little bit of dust there, but other than that, really, really cool stuff. Anyway, but that's not what I need it for. Again, that was a squirrel moment. I needed something dark so you can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, William, the show should be a blast. I've always wanted to be part of the ACET Air Affair, which was run by Sherry and her dad. They kind of took a break from that. They have a gallery of airbrush art that is insane. Some of the most amazing artists. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that. That's right there too. So yeah, so it was a great opportunity to kind of get over there and see all that and be a part of it. All right, so let me grab some white here. So this is not illustration white. I got illustration in my head now. This is opaque white mixed up 1-to-1. So I'm just going to put a little bit in here. No, I'm not, because it's closed. There we go. I'm okay. I'm really okay. So a few drops in there. God. All right, so if I spray on this bottle right here with this stuff, well, other than the fact that I had too much come out, it'll just end up covering, and it'll be nice and atomized and fine and all that fun stuff. But that's not what I want from this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by lowering the pressure all the way down to almost nothing. This brush will still atomize at almost nothing, like that. See, it kind of blobbed out there. Make sure I get this focused. I think I'm focused. Yeah. And I'm at 2 pounds of pressure right now, and it's still, this brush will still atomize that paint, but I'm going to drop it down to 1. And then what happens is it'll start getting to the point where it can't really spray, and it just starts spitting it. But I want to go even lower than that. So I'm probably running this at about a 1/2 pound of pressure. And it's literally like, as I'm messing with the regulator, I'm just barely touching the regulator to lower the pressure. What I want is, I want it just to the point where it spits out in controlled ways. So in the end, I'm probably at like a fraction of a pound. In fact, if I go too far, it'll just turn the air off. A little bit more. Almost there. You can't even hear the air, but there we go. So see how it's starting to just spit in little droplets? A little bit more, and I think we got it. A little bit more, I think we got it. I'm literally like a percentage of a pound. A little bit more. And you have to sneak up on it. You can't just set it. I can't tell you, oh, it's 1/10 of a pound of pressure. It's like you have to get it to the point where you're literally just touching the regulator. There we go. Almost. Now see, that's not where I'm at right now. That's not enough pressure. See how it's just blobbing out 1 drop? So now I'm going to raise it up a little bit, and that should be the sweet spot. Nope, not yet. Almost. A little tiny bit more pressure. Almost, almost, almost. There, right there. So now what's happening is it's just barely enough to start atomizing it, but it just spits it out. But I have a ton of control over that now. So again, it takes more time to set it up than to actually do it. Okay. Grab the pen. again. I'm going to get you guys really close so that you can really kind of see what's going on here. Focus that up. Sweet. Okay. Double check this off the side again. I think we're good. So now I'm just going to start by putting in the stars that are right around the galaxy part. But just see how much control I have over this now? Like I can put these stars really within, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch area. And then when I get out to the top of the pen, or I'll do the bottom of the pen first because you guys can see that. As I get to the bottom of the pen, or you know, closer out to the edge, I can back the airbrush up and just let them kind of lob onto the surface. But that gives me so much control over that. So I can really get in real tight here against the galaxy and just kind of lay those stars in. Now, I'm not just spraying them. I have to pump the trigger back and forth. So what I'm doing is I gotta block this spray all over the pen. Focus this on me. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling the trigger back and then pushing it forward. That loads the ink or the paint onto the needle, and then it spits it out. So you have to keep doing that. You can't just spray it. It just doesn't spray. It'll just, you know, start spraying, and then there's not enough air pressure to move the paint. So you got to just keep pumping it. It's actually the needle dragging the paint onto the surface. All right, let's focus that back up on here, and I'll keep going. Oop, that looks like I lost some pressure there, which isn't terrible. There we go. So I got a few extra big stars in there, which I'm going to put in 2 in a second, but I want these small ones in first. And these stars are the stars that are farther away, essentially. Again, keeping more of them near the galaxy part of it. Especially up near the top, I'll trail that off. And then as I get farther out, I'll just spread them out a little bit. Okay, so I've got a pretty even coverage of these small stars now across the whole pen. So what I'm going to do... Oh, no problem, Nick. My pleasure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the pressure again a tiny bit more, because now I want some of those bigger stars. I'll do this off the side just so I can make sure I'm doing the right thing here. There we go. So I'm doing the same thing I did with you guys. I'm just doing it off the side right now just so I can do this quicker. That's good. Okay. So now watch this area right here. So now when I start to put these in, these will be a little bit bigger. So by mixing the size of those stars, it gives it a ton of depth. You know, you don't just have one size of droplet. And this will do one size droplet, you know, over and over again. So it's really nice. But JP, just order, you can buy them from Grex. You'll get the, not only you get the trigger guard, but you'll also get the body guard too, the green body guard that goes over the whole airbrush. I believe it fits on most Iwatas, even though they're made for Grex. I've smudged some of my stars there, so that's going to be a fixed job. I waited, or I should have waited a little bit longer. That's all right. Can't forget the end of the pen. You guys, it's going to be out of focus, but you'll get the idea. All right, so I think that's good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that white in this brush because I'll use that again. But what I want to do is I want to kind of blue out some of these stars right around the galaxy. So I'm going to grab another brush here. Really quickly mix up a little bit of cobalt blue. Yeah, JP, they sell the trigger pad and the guard as one kind of thing. And yeah, I was never a fan of those trigger pads before, but man, after a whole, like, 8 to 10 hours of airbrushing, it really, really helps out a lot. So what I've done is I mixed up a little bit of cobalt blue, and then I have 4050 and 4011 in a 1 to 10 mix. So it's 1 part 4050 to 10 parts reducer. So I'm really reducing this out quite a bit. And then from there, it's 1 drop of paint to maybe like 6 or 7 drops of that mixture. Yeah, then it's going to help you out a lot. Yeah, it's nice. It just kind of, now I can't use it on everything. In fact, this brush here, it gets in the way on the B because of the cup is so close, so I can't really use it on the B, but I can use it on just about everything else. Oh no, not a terrible loss, but I just went to go spray this and I realized the pressure is super low, so I'm gonna have to reset that. That's okay, because I can't go on until I do this part here. So all right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the area, the stars that are closest to the galaxy with the blue, but I'm going to be really, really, really careful not to get this blue on the yellow. So I don't want that. So I'm just going to kind of skate around the outside edge. I'm going to leave about a 1/16 of an inch before I get to the galaxy. And I know this seems nitpicky, but I got to fix those other messed up stars before I paint them. So I got to do that too. And I'm really concentrating on the stars that are closest to the galaxy. I'm not doing the ones that are out farther. All right, so they're the messed up ones. So let me dry this off for a second. There we go. So before I hit those with blue, those ones that took on a little bit of extra length because I scuffed them, I'm just going to clean them up a little bit. And I'll use black paint for that. So I have, if you remember, I hit this, the whole pen with opaque black. So if I use opaque black, I can just kind of go in and fix the ones that got smudged. And again, like you look at this and you say, okay, you leave them as like a shooting star, which is fine for one of them, but it's obvious what happened here. It's obvious that I moved this and it got smudged, so I don't want that. So look, that's all it took to fix that. They're all fixed. There's London Pen. What's up? So one of the things I was thinking about with this originally was going to be the Earth and then the moon on there too, and I was going to put the galaxy in the background. The galaxy is coming out so strong and so I don't know, I like it a lot. I think I'm going to omit the moon because I think with the Earth down here and then the galaxy up above, I think that's going to be enough for this pen. I don't want to go too nuts. So there you go. So there's the galaxy with the stars. That's what we got. So what I'm going to do next, so I have got do I have enough of that blue in there? I don't think I have enough blue in yet. I really want to dump down all the stars against the galaxy with that blue because I'm going to go back in with the stars again and put a few white ones on top of the blue. And that'll give me a really good kind of separation across the whole thing. That's nice. Put that back there. All right, so now I got to go through that thing with the lowering the pressure again. Since I don't have to, I already showed you guys how to do it, I'm going to do it really quick off to the side. Once you get a feel for like messing with the pressure, you can get it done pretty quick. Watch. So there. So I'm there now. So after messing with you guys, once you get it down, you kind of get a feel for, the pressure that it has to be at, and you can kind of arrive at it pretty quick. So that works out well. So now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of going over that blue with a few extra white stars And then that adds all kinds of crazy depth to it, because now I have the 2 layers of stars in there. That, yeah, that looks good. Sweet. All right. Now, last but not least, to keep this from getting smashed up at this point, because now everything's on there. I like it. Everything's cool. There's not a whole ton of adhesion on some of this because I've over reduced a lot of it to get it to stay, to kind of spray the way I want it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this with a little bit of UVLS satin. Excuse me. And that will lock everything in for me so that I won't have to worry about banging it around. Let me just clear out this brush here. Incidentally, I didn't mention it on the HD stencil painting that I just started. That has base coat sealer white, Autoborn sealer white on it. You know what I didn't do the whole time? Sorry about that. I was meant to do that so that you guys could see what the other stuff was going on. So that other painting has base coat sealer white on it. I love the base coat sealer as a ground. So even though the clay board, the ampersand clay board, is really, really nice, just the way it is out of the box or out of the wrapper, I love painting on the that Autoborn sealer. There's Tim. What's up, Tim? Tim, sorry I had to bug out early last night. Tim has his live feed on Wednesday nights. Mad scramble trying to get everything done here. Oops, as I'm knocking stuff around. You can catch Tim now actually twice a week. So you can catch him on Saturdays too. He does his pastel live stream. Huh? Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so Tim does his live stream, his regular airbrushing live stream on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on YouTube. And now he just introduced a new live feed on Saturday as well, so he does more of his pastel work too, so very, very good. All right, make sure I get this cleaned out. I need to make sure I get this cleaned out because the reason why I thought of that Autoborn seal is because I just used that in this brush, so I want to make sure that there's nothing in here like that, because obviously if I go to clear this pen and there's white, it's going to be a bad day. The other thing I noticed too is a little bit more of a cleanup thing. If I tilt it to you guys, and let's see. I don't know if you can see it right. You can't really see it because of the light, but there's a few more little stars that are shooting that shouldn't be shooting. So I'm gonna just clean them up real quick. And again, that seems like real super nitpicky, but someone's gonna be holding this pen. You know what I mean? So they're going to have it right in their face. So I'm assuming this is going to be really like close inspection type stuff. So I really don't want any weirdness about it. All right. Now the nice thing about the Autoborn sealer, the UVLS clear, the satin, is I'm going to spray this really lightly over this whole thing. If I want to continue doing stuff to it, like if I say I want a shooting star on it, it's very simple to just spray over it and keep going. This is just acting as a protective coat for me so that I don't have these weird problems. So since I'm going to be spraying this up higher, let me oops, sorry, I bumped that with my head. Let me refocus this on this right about there. Okay, so now you guys can see it. Actually, you know what I'll do? Let me back you guys up a little bit. That might be a better idea, so you can see the whole thing. Yeah, Tim, that's a lot of that is Drew Blair's influence. You'll see all those colors in the illustration line. I mean, they have like burnt umber and things like that in the Wicked line, but they still kind of got to keep to the middle of the road with all the Wicked colors as graphic colors because they know who uses them. So you'll see a lot of those artist colors, and you can now. I mean, there's Payne's gray and a lot of great colors in the illustration line. Unfortunately, the illustration line stays open for me a little bit too long, so I have a difficult time using it, but you're right, it's nice to have those artist colors available. All right, so now you guys can kind of see what's going on. I'll hold it like, what am I going to do? I mean, I'm going to be spraying a clear on this, so you're not going to see much of it anyway, but you get the idea. So what I want to do is I just want to keep it off the surface. I want to stay back pretty far. And with this UVLS, again, this is a protection coat. This isn't final clear. The final clear is going to be an automotive clear. I am up off the surface, so let me refocus that so you guys can see what I'm doing here. There we go, like that. All right. Okay. So now really lightly. So the first coat is really just a tack coat. That's just to kind of lock in everything, to acclimate everything. So now, I can't put this down, so I'm just going to let this sit for a few, and then I'm going to hit it one more time, and then that'll be locked in. Oh, good, JP, that's awesome. Yeah, you'll like his feed. A lot of good info. So basically what we're doing now is we're sitting here waiting for paint to dry. Generally, 10 minutes is the overall dry time for this. And what I do is I have a stand for this pen that I put it in, and then I have you just got to have a little bit of air movement around it, not like a fan blowing on it, but a little bit of air movement, and then and that'll cause the essentially the water in it to evaporate out, because that's what we're looking for. Once the water evaporates out, it'll be ready to go. The beautiful thing about this stuff, if you've ever worked with solvent-based clears like varnish and automotive clears, you have to be really careful about the windows, meaning when you can reapply the next coat, because it's more of a chemical reaction there. So you have to work within their windows. If you apply the next coat too early, it doesn't have a chance to dry correctly. If you apply it too late, then it won't stick. The beautiful part about all the Createx stuff, all the UVLS stuff, is you actually have to wait for it to be completely dry. So say you clear something, you can go back the next day, and actually it's better for the clear when you put your second coat on or third coat. So that's really, really nice. It makes it easy to kind of work with this stuff. You're not, watching a clock for windows. So that's what we got. So the other thing I don't want to do is I don't want to put enough on here to seal these two pieces together. So as soon as this is dry to the touch, which will be in about a minute, I'm going to just crack those two apart and kind of roll with it. Tim asks, Steve, how does your knowledge of other mediums help with your airbrush technique? That's a really great question. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like, when you're used to using a hammer, everything's a nail. So the same thing happens with me with airbrushing, and it's happened since I started airbrushing. I needed to find a tool that produced a painting that I saw in my head. And so what's funny is no matter what medium I use, I try to push it into looking like an airbrush painting. I just like that. So the easy answer to that is, yeah, any knowledge is good knowledge. It'll, even if it doesn't apply directly, it will change the way you think about what you're doing and possibly create a new technique in what you're doing. So if you're like Tim, your pastel versus airbrush, or not versus but including airbrush, that's a perfect example of using one tool and thinking completely outside of the box for in a medium that never used that before. So it's neat how that works. So I think, I don't know if they help each other as much as they inspire each other, if that makes any sense. So remember, the threads can start in 3 places, so when you put it back offset it back, turn it till it clicks, and try it again. Okay, good to know. I think we're ready now, but I still don't want to touch this with my bare hands. So give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to grab another shop cloth. Yeah, that's good to know, Sean, especially since now this is going to need to line up when it's done. All right, so what I do is I have it turned down to just snug. So hopefully that's going to work out like that. Okay, and there you go. So that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably call this feed now, just because what I need to do is I need to spray this again, and then I need to let it really sit. But I don't want to apply the next coat before this is totally dry, because that does have an effect on it. So I'm going to back you guys up a little bit more so you guys can kind of see what we got here. But it actually worked out really solidly. So now this is satin clear, so but it still gives you some idea of how it's going to look when it's done. Now the other thing too, if you missed at the beginning, I've masked off the bottom at an angle. This is going to be the earth, so there'll be like, you'll be able to see some continents with cloud cover. The edge of this will be glowing blue like the atmosphere, so it's going to have a really neat effect down the bottom as well. But like I said, with this, when I started it, the idea was to have the earth and then have a big moon, like a realistic moon on it. But and then the galaxy in the background. But the galaxy is so strong, I think I'm gonna leave it the way it is and just have the earth and the galaxy. I think this will make a nice pen. Javier, what's up? But it's neat, even with that, you know, that one coat of UV-less satin, it gives you a neat idea of how this is going to look with the clear on it. I'm going to use a House of Color show clear on this, which is nice because it's really deep and really like it's really clear and really deep. So all the stars and all those layers of colors that I use for the galaxy, they'll pop way out. It'll seem like it's really, really deep when I'm done. So that's what I got. All right, so I'm going to let that sit and dry, and then I'll hit it with another coat. And then I'm going to get back to, I'm working on the 543s for Monday, which is that giveaway that we do. So I'm going to be working on those for the rest of the day. And if, I don't know, if I'm lucky, maybe I'll start working on the new painting too, the one we started today. So we'll see what happens. So let me switch you to, what am I going to do? Switch you to that camera. I like to do that because when I move the overhead camera, if you guys are on the overhead camera, you guys get a ride that you probably don't want. So there you go. So that's what I got. Let's move that out of the way too. All right. Thank you again for hanging out with me on the tube. The plan is pretty straight ahead from here on out. So Monday night feed is normal. I'll be doing that, you know, from here. The next week, I think it's next week, I'll be doing the feed from Wisconsin. I'm not sure that I'll be painting, but I'll at least do the giveaway. So if you've made your suggestions during the week on Monday's feed, then I'll definitely have a giveaway for you for that. And then we drive home. I'll be doing the next feed from here in Ohio, and then I head to Massachusetts. So I'm going to kind of run that the same way. If I can't do a feed for real out in Massachusetts, I'll at least have 5 new paintings that we can do the giveaway. So if you're not familiar with that, what we do on Monday is I take suggestions on the Facebook feed for ideas for little small 3x4 black and white paintings. And the following week, whoever made a suggestion the week before is automatically entered to win one of those paintings. So I do a random drawing, and then the winner gets to pick one. So that's how it works. So if you want to get in on that, just jump on the Facebook feed at 6 o'clock on Facebook. I will come up with something for this feed too. This is working out well. I'm just trying to get my feet underneath me, but we'll definitely have something here too. So I think that's going to work out good. So that's what I got. So thank you for hanging out. Thanks for doing the YouTube with me. And yeah, that's what I got. So I will catch you guys on the next one. Have a great one.